Hello, this is Amin, and this is session 24 of ASP.NET Core tutorial. In this session, we will talk about layout view. If you look at a regular website, it has several different default sections, same as header, navigation bar, or sometimes they have left or right navigation or side menu, and also footer, and also a place that the requested action method or requested content will appear in the page. If we don't have a layout view, we should implement all the parts in all the views, and we should repeat some code in all the views for preventing this behavior and stop repeating some piece of code, same as the code of header or navigation or footer. We should use layout. Let's flip to Visual Studio and back to our application that we have developed until this session. This is the application that we have. If you look at details view, you can see it has all the HTML elements here, and also for list we have exactly the same HTML structure, and also in the index view we have some piece of code that we repeated in all the views. But instead of repeating these piece of code in all the views, we can remove them from the specific views and create the common part of all the views in the layout view. Let's create a layout view. And just bear in mind, as we want to use this generic layout view in all the views, it's better to create it in the shared place under the views. Let's right click on the shared and add a new item. And here I select Razor. And you can see I have Razor layout, Razor view start, Razor view imports, and other Razor pages. But this session we will talk about Razor layout. If you look at the structure and the extension of the file, it is still CSHTML because it is same as the other views, and I name it main layout.cshtml and I add it. Since I add the layout, it is the automatically generated code, and it has the structure of HTML5. And also here I have render body. Within these tags, I can render my action view, and I will talk how we can render or a specific view inside this part. And also I have one ViewBag with name of title. I can't hard coded my title because this is generic part, and I should pass the specific name for each view from the view. As I mentioned in previous sessions, ViewBag and view data doesn't support IntelliSense, but for a small part of data we can still use ViewBag, same as title. Let's first back to my home controller and delete this custom view that I called to call the index view inside home controller, this one. And here I first delete the generic part of HTML tag, which I don't need them, and let's save it. And this is the part that I want to show to the client when they ask for index action method inside home. Let me save it. And also I have two different views in cost controller, detail and list. Let's go to the detail and delete this part of generic HTML part. Just if you want to make the code format clear and better, you can select that part of the code and then press Ctrl K and then Ctrl F. And also let me save it and go to the list and delete the generic part of HTML here. and save it. I delete the table, close tag here. Let me correct it and save it. Let me run the project and see the result of these views since I delete the HTML default parts. Project now up and running. Let's see the view source, and it is just one h1 tag without the heading, without the body part, without the header part and the rest of standard HTML part. It is obviously happen in cost detail. If I look at the view page source, it is just the div element that show the information that I requested, and also inside the list it is the same if I look at the view page source. Let's back to Visual Studio and ask for layout view. For adding layout view, I should use a C# block of code. And here I use layout equal, and I should enter the path of layout, which is tilde for going to the root, and views. And also inside views I have shared, and also inside shared, let me copy the name for preventing any typo and add it here. And also one semicolon end of the line. And also the layout needs ViewBag.Title, and I will add it here, the title that I want. As in the C# code, I don't need this @ sign here, and name it cost list. Let me copy this block of code to all the views that I have in details and also in index. By adding this piece of code, this part of action method will rendered in the render body part. And for the rest of views, it happened the same. This piece of code will render exactly in this render body part. Let's save all the changes and run the project once more. Project up and running, and this time when I go to the view page source, you can see I have all the parts, and the page title is exactly cost list, and also I have the HTML tag open and close, header, and also body. And of course it will happen for the rest of views that I have. Let's go to the cost detail and see view page source. It is the same, and the missed part of the HTML it appear here, and also I have the page title. I forgot to change the page title for the rest of the pages, as I copied the piece of code from the cost list. And also when I go to the cost list, it is the same. And when I look at the page source, it's appeared the standard HTML format. This is the way that I can use layout page. Let me correct the page title of the pages that I have. For index of home controller, I use welcome to cost web application, and also for detail, cost detail. Another section that I can have in my layout view is section. Imagine I have one JavaScript inside www.root.js file, and it would be my script file. Let me add my JavaScript file here. and I call it my scripts. And just I add one alert inside it with message from my script. If I could drag and drop this JavaScript to my layout, I should say that the best place to call the JavaScript is exactly before closing body tag, and run the project. You can see in all the views I will receive and I will call this script. Let's run the project. And here I received that JavaScript, and also inside cost detail exactly I receive that JavaScript, and also in the list. But I just want to receive this JavaScript inside one of my views, which is detail. For doing this change, I should remove this script from here, and this time use render section. And inside render section, I should name the section that I want called. It is scripts. And also, if I not add anything more to this render section, it would be mandatory. And if I want call this section inside all of my views, one exception will true. But for make it optional, I can use one of the overload of this method. It is required, and make it false. With this change, I change it to optional. Also, I can make this section optional by if clause, and I use is section define, and inside if section define, I use the name of section that I want to make optional, and inside this if expression I can use this render section with mandatory behavior. As both lines of code are equal, I can comment one of these two pieces of code. Let me comment this one and go to the detail view, the view that I want to use this section part. Here I should use section directive, and the section that I want to call is scripts, and inside open and close curly braces I call my script file. Let's save it and run the project. And as you can see, I haven't received the message from a script file. And if you look at the page source, it doesn't have any script here. But if I go to cost detail, I will receive the message of the script file. And if I look at the page source, you can see I have the script called here. That's it in this session, and we talked about render body and also render section, and also how to pass ViewBag.Title to layout, and also we discussed the way that you can use a layout and section in your main view. That's it in this session. Thank you for watching this session of our tutorial. Don't forget to follow us on our social media, and also subscribe our YouTube channel. Text version of this session and also link of playlist of this video tutorial series is available in description of this video. Once more, thank you for watching us.